Face to Face, I'm Jon Ralston. Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, is taking some heat from the left about his performance on health care reform. Why isn't he pushing harder for a public option? We're talking to a couple of liberal activists here today on the program. Let's talk about this. You and I have had this conversation before, both on this program and off. You know, what are you just living in a dream world? You want all this great stuff to happen, but you don't live in the real world where, as Erin Neff says, the quirks of the Senate. On the other hand, I've seen you write a lot of times, and I think I've written this too. You know, sometimes good policies make good politics. Do you believe that's the case in this in healthcare?
I do believe that good policy is good politics, and I think that the polling that you've discussed early in the program with regard to the public support for the public option bears that out.
Why aren't they listening to that? This is not just this poll. I've seen a lot of polling that shows people favor the public option.
Well, you know, Adam Green, your prior guest, suggested that a lot of it has to do with campaign contributions, and I certainly don't want to discount that factor. At the same time, I mentioned earlier about the Democrats' apologetic, fearful, frankly, approach to governing or not governing over the last several years. And I think that there is still a hangover effect with them. I think that they still have their first tendency is to recoil lest someone call them a liberal on the radio or something. I think that they're afraid deep down of pushing a progressive agenda and standing up in an unapologetic, forceful way. You know, you see that not only in the Beltway. We've spoken about it again on this show and off about the Nevada Democrats in the legislature. There is a fear factor involved with these folks.
I think there's something else going on. I'll play devil's advocate here. I think it has nothing to do with that, but much more to do with the terms that have been used. When you ask about a public option and a poll, but you know what they're being. You know what opponents are to the public. They don't call it a public. They call it a government takeover of health care, which is totally disingenuous and not what the public option is. That's why they're afraid of it, isn't it?
Well, that's certainly why Mary Landrieu and Ben Nelson and Blanche Lincoln and these very moderate people in
and
the
Harry
Senate.
Reid. Harry Reid's afraid of that too because he's up for a tough re-election.
Well,
he's afraid of being seen as he's already getting pummeled by these 19,000 Republican opponents he has for some things, and they're just going to say he supported a government takeover of health care.
They're going to say that if he passes public option, or if he doesn't, they're going to say he tried to get it done.
So he should just do it then. He should just do it then.
He should absolutely do it. I think it's in his best interest to get this health care reform passed. And look, the majority of the attacks are coming from the right. I'm not out there to eat my own. I'm out there to fight back against this messaging, this government-run stuff.
Don't you give up core principles if you do that too much? I think that's what Hugh Jackson would argue. What are you standing for? You might as well just be a Republican then. I don't mean you, but I mean the Democrats in the Senate.
Well, I think that's where the PCCC ought to focus its money. I mean, Harry Reid has said repeatedly he stands for the public option. Why aren't they out there attacking Ben Nelson and the others?
Well, I just point out that, yes, most of the attacks from Harry Reid are coming from the right, and that's why I think this ad is actually helpful to his campaign, because it shows the public that there are people on the left that want him to do something as well, and it beats back against that conventional narrative.
As I've said, and we're out of time, he's lucky there's no Ned Lamont in this state, or I think he'd really have a problem this time. Hugh Jackson, Erin Neff, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the program. And when we come back, we're going to do a reality check, the first one of campaign 2010, on Harry Reid's ad. Did he really save City Center? Back in a moment.